Welcome back to the Liquid Late Nights podcast, and we're going to try to give you some little tech, some little international relations flavor. I don't know how this is going to go. We're going to see how it goes. That's CD. I'm Mr. A. The youths are being corrupted by the technology, and go.
Well, I'm not much of a tech guy because I grew up in the Etch a Sketch era. So, but I'm reading some articles and we have some issues right now with I guess because and I was talking to Gino about it. He said, well, the younger people they growing up with all this stuff at their disposal. But I was reading this article about hacking and Gen Zers and and you talk about young. I'm not talking about some 30-year-old guy living in his mom's basement. I'm talking about a 15-year-old guy, 16-year-old person who are just they're very good at it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As far as breaking this stuff, and I don't know if they do it for fun. This particular article was talking about young people that they're good, and what happens is people in the dark, what they call the dark web, draw them in for easy money because they're good at what they can. They're very good. And I think this article there was something about they broke into this deal called Power School, the software for their school system and stuff, 80% a year ago, 2 years ago, and
Held them for ransom, basically.
and made the money.
I mean, money.
He held up, and they finally got tracked down. And this kid, what he's trying to do is, I'm sure he's trying to get some time off, but he's begging his forgiveness, and he's
Yeah.
trying to warn everybody
I
that
mean,
don't get.
he's got 4 years. He's trying to. They didn't say. I didn't look up if it was like minimum
Well,
security or
he's a
whatever,
white guy,
but
so he's plead mental insanity. He's pleading mental illness. So
I think he pled guilty and just write it
I
out
know, but he said,
because
he said mental illness. He's saying he's like it's like a
yeah,
crack addict.
oh yeah, he's mental. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, so hey,
Well, I mean, I thought it's a lot of the stuff they're talking about. Hacking, quote unquote, has been around since the dawn of computers, since the '60s, since the '70s. It's
no,
just
I get it.
it's different
Yeah,
things doing that, and then the '80s and roll through. But now they're saying the tool sets are so out there and available, you don't have to really know what you're doing. Like the guys I came up with, the guys who made careers out of knowing computers. They were in the trenches, like growing up, like they were building their own things and they were doing all that kind of stuff. You don't need that anymore. You can go and find something already ready made, like an app or whatever, and then you can get millions of dollars breaking into secure systems. Like it's crazy. So it's not even like some of it is skill, like some of it because they have come up and they're old enough, and they've used to technology and how to manipulate things, and kind of doing that. But a lot of it is just they know just enough, and then you give them something that's already ready made, and they just use that. And that's the crazy part. And then and then you've been hearing a lot of these in the last couple of years. A lot of these companies being held for ransom, medical, hospital systems, and banks and insurance, all this kind of stuff. And it's not, you think it's like a vast criminal conspiracy. It's a lot of these just kids,
yeah.
like you said, recruited in, or maybe just figured it out real quick and getting
This
some
kid was like
cash.
17 or something like that.
Yeah,
But he got recruited. They have these contests about who's good, and then if you find you good, they offer you opportunity to make money if you gullible. And at the same time, I guess it's the high of making this stuff happen because I know I'm an old guy when I can figure out to do something on my computer I'm happy as a lamb. I'm happy like dude you got it you figured that yourself. You know what I mean?
well, if you already kind of, if you, everybody can say this. High school's terrible. It's a terrible experience, terrible time to be
Yeah, I
around
agree
with a
with
bunch
that.
of other kids. So if you're already lonely and then you find something that you're good at, and people are telling you, "Hey, you the man, you the man," of course you're going to gravitate to that. That's with anything. So how people get into
I thought
gangs,
I
how
was the
people
only
get into
one that
whatever.
thought high school. I did not like high school. That's all.
Nobody likes high school. Even if you were having a good time in high school, you didn't really like high school. It is not. It is not. I don't know who came up with that concept.
High school forces you a lot of people you don't want to be around. That's why I always thought of it.
It's just here. We're just
You had
here.
no choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm like, whatever. But
So people going, hey, wait, hang on, high school. I don't want to see those people again ever. You know what I mean?
the people I want to see, I see.
But not in high school.
Everybody else, don't worry.
Sorry.
So, but yeah, I thought it was. I know it's an interesting article, and it just makes you think how many other How many other kids like him are not just here in this country or in other
Well,
countries?
but I always going back because I watched this program somebody on CNBC called American Greed, right? So you see these people in American Greed, right? So how smart they are and genius they are, and they use it to do some criminal stuff. I say,
Yeah,
why are you doing that criminal stuff? You can use some legal stuff and make the same kind of money. You don't have to worry about going to prison for 20 years.
maybe.
But that's what okay. If this,
Because American Greed is like these people got caught. Think about this. Think of the people who didn't get caught. Because you
I
know they out
understand,
there. You
but you
know they
still
out
run the
there.
risk of being caught. See,
That's
I
part of the
won't do the
thrill.
crime because I can't do the time. I always had that. You know what I mean?
Like I ain't going in there.
Ass, dude. I can't spend a night in the drunk tank. I ain't done none of that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Can't do it.
No,
Mm-mm.
no.
Doing super villain criminal.
But no, but so he was there's what they were saying about the access to computers at such a young age, and these guys began to because there's those of us who are for my age group too, it seemed complicated or too stuff because you didn't have access to it. But if you start off at 6 or 7 years old, because everybody's kids got an iPad or now, and it's just numbers,
Hmm.
which is which old. We don't realize how old it is, but it goes back to Shango born in West Africa. There's just numbers. It's the universe is numbers. So once you get it, but you could do it for good. Yeah, that's
You
just
need somebody who it. I like that you're talking about that one the group was trying to like recruit these people and identify these basically identify these high achievers in these areas and trying to point them in the right direction to kind of use that skill set, like you said, for good, for their own benefit, for developing our society.
let's develop some kind of mathematical situation to get us away from the internal combustion engine so we can go to Mars on something different besides a rocket ship. You know what I mean? With
You just straight
bombs.
mad at rocket ships. I know. I know.
I'm not mad at I'm just saying,
You ready for the next thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a Star Trek guy. We have, yeah, come on.
Mm,
A lithium power should drop it in there and stuff. Let's go to warp drive.
you did something.
But listen, I was excited about Autobus, and when I thought about it and looked at it again, it's the same thing. We got to build a toilet.
Well, yeah, that's a big deal. Nobody talks
Did
about that.
you, did you
Nobody
see
talks
the
about it on Star Trek. They got to
did
have
you
a toilet somewhere.
did you see the piece I sent out when they landed when he was
Yeah, Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Hey, there was something going on. Just like you got the perfect cast to do Fantastic Four. We just need some cosmic rays, but no.
yeah. No, don't get me started on that. So, but again, it says something. So, do the parents? So do the parents pay closer attention, or do your parents? But if a guy is 14 now, his parents in this day and age, what they mid 30s, 40,
Maybe, yeah.
then they should know then.
People are busy.
That's the excuse.
I guess. I'm surprised. Here's the thing.
His
I
parents are
feel like
driving it.
at a
His
certain
parents
point,
are driving his ass to prison. They should have
maybe,
known.
yeah. But if they're trying to work, both everybody's working, trying to pay for stuff, people
Are
not paying
you are you
attention.
done? Are you done making excuses? You
No,
got all right?
I'm just trying to come up. Listen, we know I think and I've seen it. I think people forget about stuff, and then they just don't think about it, and then something new comes on, and they don't want to learn about it. Like there's plenty of people my age who don't understand their cell phone. We've had
Really?
cell phone for 25 years, but there's people my age who are like, oh, I touch that thing. Very basic.
So I said I just make calls on it.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't realize that an iPhone is like better than they had the Apollo moon mission guys. If they'd have had this, they'd have been like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they would have kept going to Mars.
We went on to Mars. If they had it then, yeah, Scott, with a toilet.
That's
But what I'm
the
saying is,
thing.
okay, so we had the conversation about we did the thing about the birth of Apple last week about the phones and stuff. So you got to get that. I mean, me, I I'm learning. So I get surprised myself every day with the AI and stuff. And I'm starting to try to use it. I'm not afraid to talk to my computer and tell me stuff because I'm surprised what the computer shows me.
Mm.
So hey, I don't want to tell me to kill myself or anything like that. But hey,
Yeah, and still working on that.
yeah, well, it happens anyway. We're the hacking thing and the young people. I think it's if I was that age now, it would be exciting. Okay, it's because I'm in the age group of Bill Gates. So here's 20, 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. So I started reading up Bill Gates because to me, I figured the guy, I'm the same age, but he's done all these things at Microsoft. But I figured he was no smarter than me. And it was a matter of access.
Hmm.
Bill Gates was fooling around with computers, him and his buddy, when they was 13, 14 years old, which they were that's the late 60s back. That's about 1970. 1970, I had a transistor radio, maybe, on my bicycle.
And you were
They
happy.
was and they were, but I had no idea what the computer. I know what the word meant. Even
Hmm.
I had watched Star Trek, different, but they were already doing this. So it's a matter of access.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah.
Him and his buddy, the died, Paul Allen.
Hmm.
They were doing stuff because I bought his stuff. I had audio. I used my car all the time commuting. I had like, 10 CD, not CDs, cassettes of Bill Gates talk about his book and what the hell they did. So yeah, because I'm saying what makes different this guy doing stuff that this was that it's an access. His mother was an educator, and his father was a successful businessman. He's Bill Gates the third. I mean, they he has a little bit of cheese someplace up there in Oregon. Anyway, I threw that in, but it's all it's a point of being
Yeah.
access to computers and stuff. That's what I'm
So,
saying.
so in a way, now the democratization of the access, like there's more of those tools available to more
Yes,
people, but there's not enough guidance for that people, and then you have these
yes.
situations.
Because in the '80s, the big thing people was always saying was Bill Gates at 35, he dropped out of Harvard and did this or that. And they were using to say he didn't have to go to college, but they forget they have no idea about his background. Harvard was like the next step for him. He didn't need it at that point. He already knew. He left
Yeah.
Harvard because he said, "Yeah, let's go over here. Let's go down to where they go to the guy in Texas went to work for
Ross Perot?
yes, they went to work for Texas. Was it Texas? Not Texas Instruments, but
No,
was it
no,
Texas?
that's yeah. That was his
Yeah.
company. That was a
So
big
so
one. That
he
was
was
one of
already
his
smart,
companies.
but they was promoting him in back in the day, like he dropped out of college, did this. That. No, he was already ready. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So anyway,
Yeah.
because he's been doing this, he was 13 years old.
You can
So
start a
10 years
business.
later, 15 years later, he's sitting at Harvard saying like, I can finish my term, I can go down here and make this money.
Yeah. Said I'm gonna make this money.
Yeah, because that what's that? The magazine used to be. I should get those magazines too. Those tech magazines back in the
Like
days.
Wired or
Not before Wired with one
Popular Science, Popular
Popular
Mechanics.
Science, Popular
Yeah,
Mechanics.
yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day. So I don't know if they do that stuff anymore. But yeah, so that's a that's a generation, my generation back. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like scary. You got a 14-year-old with this slap bill upside his head and say, dude, get your dumb stuff out of here with that dot matrix. You know what I mean?
Let me show you what you got.
Yeah. But anyway,
Let's see what we do here.
that's that.